What does the pilot pay for an international airline pilot at a US carrier? When you find out what a senior captain makes, you may be like,
sweet God and baby Jesus.
Coming up.
963 heavy, sliding 190, maintain 10,000, runway 18 left, clear for takeoff.
Sometimes when people ask you, what do you do for a living? What they really want to know is, how much money do you make? In this video, I'm going to talk about the range of pay from being a regional pilot all the way up to being a senior captain at a legacy carrier. And if you don't know me, my name's Kelsey. I'm a 747 pilot. This channel is all about aviation. Consider subscribing. Let's get into it. So the rule of thumb when it comes to what your annual pay scale is going to be as a pilot is going to be whatever your hourly rate is, just add 3 zeros to the back of that. So to give you an idea, if your hourly pay rate is $40 an hour, generally speaking, you're going to make about $40,000 a year. Now the other thing to keep in mind is, depending on what carrier you're at, you're going to have a daily minimum, and that's going to range between your carriers. So for example, you're going to get paid for 4 hours no matter how much you fly. So in that day, maybe you only fly 2 hours, but you're going to get paid for 4 hours. And there's other days you're going to fly, let's say 6 hours, and you'll get paid for 6 hours. So the minimum daily guarantee is, no matter how much you fly or while you're out on a trip, if you're out on a trip, no matter if you fly 1 hour or 4 hours, you're going to always at least get 4 hours of pay. If you go above that, then you'll get above that pay. So sometimes what you'll have is pilots are looking at just the hourly pay rate, and that is a factor, of course, to get an idea of what it is you're going to be making. However, there's a lot of other ways that money can be made once you get to the airlines. That daily minimum is one of those ways. Another thing I want to address is the first year pay at most carriers, whether it be a regional or a legacy carrier, and your legacy carriers are going to be your larger airlines, you know, American, FedEx, UPS, United, Delta, those larger carriers that have thousands and thousands of pilots. Generally speaking, that first year pay is going to be a lot less than what the rest of the pay scale is going to be. That's because the airlines are incurring a lot of expense in training you, and they're paying you to be studying, and they're paying you to be in the simulator and learn everything, so they don't want to pay you in salary. Is that fair?
No. No. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. No. 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 Hell no. No. No.
A lot of guys don't think that that's fair, but that's the current world that we live in, so there you go. So when I talk about pay coming up, what I'm going to be addressing is second year pay, so that way we can kind of have a better feel for what you can kind of expect from that point on. Right now at your regional carriers, your second year pay is going to range somewhere between $38 to $58 an hour roughly. And that again is going to vary on different airlines, have different bases and things like that. And in a later video, I'll talk about how to choose what regional would be the best fit for you. But to give you an idea right now, you're looking at 38 to 58. That's as a first officer or co-pilot. You're looking at roughly around that range. Plus, in some regionals are doing bonuses and things like that. And I talked about that in that pilot shortage video. But that gives you an idea as far as what the pay is right now at the regionals. At the regionals, roughly, you're going to be looking at 3 to 5% of 401k contribution. And what that money is basically free money that the airlines will give you as part of a retirement plan. That is usually based off that you stay for several years and a few other factors, and you can get a range, but roughly you're looking at 3 to 5%. Some of them are up to 10 to 12% after so many years of service. So there's a few other factors of what your total compensation is going to end up being once you're at the regionals, but roughly you're looking at 3 to 5%, in some cases 10 to 12%, depending on the years of service that you've been there. Now in your low-cost carrier market, your Spirit and JetBlue, and some consider Southwest a bit of a low-cost carrier. Some consider the low-cost carriers to be a stepping stone to get to a legacy. More and more those low-cost carriers are trying to make themselves a final destination for a lot of pilots, especially a company like Southwest. They really want you, if you go there, to stay there. That's obviously their end goal, and that's reflected in their pay and compensation and how they treat their pilots. The range of pay that you're going to see there as a first officer on second year pay, that's going to range, you know, from about $100 to $120 an hour roughly. So when you get to that next level in your career of going to, let's say, a low-cost carrier, if you don't go immediately to a legacy, you're going to be roughly $100 to $120 an hour, and you're going to have a lot more on the compensation on your 401k. Generally, in your 401k at a low-cost carrier, you're looking at 12 to 15% direct contribution. And what that means is, without you putting any money into your retirement, they're going to take 12 to 15% of the money that you made that year and automatically give that to you as a bonus. If you made $100,000, you're going to get an extra $10,000 from the company. Now you can't do anything with that money. It's set aside for your retirement, but that's still extra money that's yours. So that gives you an idea of some extra money that you're going to get if you're working there. Now, on the majors or the legacies, like we talked about earlier, your pay is going to go anywhere from $130 to $175, $180, something like that when you get to second year pay. So you're talking about a huge range of pay when you're looking at, from a regional guy who could be making $40 on second year pay to a legacy guy who could be making $180 on second year pay. It's a big difference as far as where you start and where you end. And then when you look at the captains there, the guys that are the senior captains, they're making over $300 an hour. So I think some of them are up to $305, some are paying $320 an hour. That's a really big scale of where you start from $38 to $320 an hour. That's a big difference in what you're going to be making pay-wise. So there's some guys out there that are making a lot more. There's captains that are making $500,000, $600,000 a year. How are they making that money?
I'm listening.
The way that guys are making all that extra money is by working on their days off. So usually airlines are going to pay a range between 150, 200%, in some cases when they're really desperate, 300% of your hourly rate. So if you're normally making $100 an hour and they're really desperate, in some cases they'll be paying you $300 an hour to do a normal regular flight that you would be operating on. 300% is not a common occurrence, but I've seen it before. Usually what you'll see is 150% or some variation of that on your pay. There's a bunch of other little tricks and things like that, but that gives you an idea of how those pilots are making so much extra money. So you're talking $400,000 to $500,000 a year. They're working extra. They're working above their generally assigned schedules to pick up extra trips to get that extra money.
I'm rich and I'm dead sexy.
All right, crew, so that gives you an idea of what you can expect once you get to the airlines, when you get to the regionals, and what it's paying right now if you go to the legacies. Obviously, that path can be very quick or it can take a while depending on who you are. In the comment section below, let me know the hourly rate you'd be happy with as a pilot. I look forward to hearing from you. Until then, keep the blue side up.